How has your life been? Good or, not so good? Satisfactory or unsatisfactory?
Which is kind of a jarring way to start a conversation.
It really is. But that is exactly how a 2011 philosophical text opens. And today, well, you're the third person at this table with us as we figure out why the author claims your answer to that question is just completely fundamentally out of your control.
Right, because we are taking a microscope to this short, but honestly incredibly dense framework called The Cycle of Cause and Effect. Everything is inevitable.
Yeah, written by Feng, and the English translation was edited by Kinyu. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack this really specific philosophy of fate, karma, and radical acceptance.
It's a profound piece of writing, mostly because it refuses to compromise.
Right.
I mean, we live in an era that is completely obsessed with optimization.
Oh, for sure. Optimization is everywhere.
Exactly. If you're listening to this right now, just think about how much of your daily bandwidth is consumed by trying to engineer a satisfactory existence.
Right. The morning routines, the productivity hacks.
All the endless self-help paradigms. And they're all built on this foundational assumption that if you just paddle hard enough, you can steer the river of your life wherever you want it to go.
Which is exhausting. I mean, we are constantly trying to force reality to match our expectations. But Feng's text, it doesn't offer a new paddling technique.
No, not at all.
He essentially says, stop paddling. Because you aren't even in the river. You are literally just watching a movie.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, he states that whether your life is satisfactory or not, it is entirely fate. Like the circumstances you're dealing with today, they were locked in long before you even woke up this morning.
It completely disrupts that whole modern narrative of agency. And he isn't speaking metaphorically here.
No, he means it literally.
Right. The text argues a literal mechanism of cause and effect spanning across lifetimes. So the assertion is that our current circumstances, our wealth, our health, the people we encounter, have already been strictly determined by the actions of our past lives.
We are, to use his framework, just following a plot.
Yes. Just following a plot.
And I got to say, that concept triggers massive pushback for me. And I imagine for anyone listening who values their autonomy.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if everything is a predetermined script and struggling against it is, completely useless, doesn't that just render us entirely powerless?
It can certainly feel that way at first glance.
Right. It feels a bit like being an actor who suddenly realizes they are trapped in a terrible movie.
A movie where you don't even get to write the lines.
Exactly. You're standing on set, the dialogue you're given is awful, the scene is a disaster, but the director just yells, "Action!" And you can't change a single word. You just have to stand there and deliver it.
And that sounds less like a philosophy and more like an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, it really does.
It sounds terrifying if you are desperately clinging to the belief that you are the director of today's events. But let's look at the historical foundation Feng uses to kind of anchor this.
Okay, lay it out.
He leans heavily on a quote from Bodhidharma, the ancient Buddhist monk. And the first half of that quote is, to know the causes of the past life, look at what you are enduring in this life.
Enduring in this life. Okay.
Right. If we examine the psychological mechanics of that statement, this framework isn't actually designed to induce feelings of powerlessness. It's actually designed to offer profound relief.
Relief from what, though? Because, being trapped in a bad scene doesn't really feel like relief.
Relief from the exhausting illusion of control.
Ah.
Think about how much anxiety is generated by the belief that you are responsible for fixing a broken situation that is entirely out of your hands.
Oh, yeah. A lot of anxiety.
Exactly. When you finally accept that you're just the actor in this specific phrase and moment in time, that crushing pressure to rewrite the scene vanishes.
The past is the author.
Right. The present is just the performance. You don't have to fix the plot. You just have to play your part.
Okay, that shifts the burden significantly. But, if we follow that logic, it begs an immediate practical question, which if we are just captive actors in a fixed script, how on earth are we supposed to perform when the scene we are forced into is objectively painful?
That's the core question, isn't it?
Yeah, because the text doesn't just tell us to give up. It actually provides very explicit instructions on how to react to our present reality.
It does. And the instruction really hinges on a meticulous definition of the word endure. Going back to Bodhidharma's phrase, look at what you are enduring. Feng breaks down the semantics of it.
He defines what it actually means to endure.
Right. He explains that to endure means to accept, to bear, or to shoulder. It signifies absolute inevitability.
It is the acknowledgement that there is no escape hatch from the present moment.
Precisely.
And he applies this to incredibly mundane, everyday frustrations. He says, if you are poor in this life, don't complain. If misfortunes befall you, accept them with composure.
Right, and when blessings arrive, enjoy them.
Yeah. When suffering arrives, endure it. Because in his words, rushing changes nothing.
Which echoes some of the core principles you might find in Stoicism, right? Or even modern cognitive behavioral therapy.
Oh, for sure. Where the emphasis is placed not on the external event, but on your internal judgment of the event.
Exactly. However, this text takes it to a cosmic, karmic absolute.
Let's apply that to a real-world scenario, because one specific example he gives really caught my eye. He writes, if you encounter unreasonable people, face them calmly without hatred.
That's a powerful directive.
It is. But so, if you're listening to this on your commute right now and someone just aggressively cut you off in traffic, or maybe you are dreading seeing a completely irrational coworker at the office today.
We all have one of those.
Right. So is the text telling us to just be doormats, to, let people walk all over us in the name of fate?
Well, that is the trap of misinterpreting radical acceptance. Look at the exact phrasing he uses. He doesn't advise agreeing with unreasonable people.
Right. He doesn't say that.
And he certainly doesn't say you should invite them to harm you. The instruction is to face them calmly without hatred.
Without hatred?
Yeah. It is a directive regarding your internal landscape, not necessarily your external boundaries.
Okay, that makes me think of being caught in a sudden torrential rainstorm.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah, because you can't yell at the rain to stop. You can't punch the clouds to teach them a lesson.
Yeah.
You just endure it.
Right, you put up your umbrella.
Exactly. You wait out the storm, but you don't take the rain personally. Getting furiously angry at the rain is just a massive waste of your psychological energy.
It really is.
So, facing that unreasonable coworker calmly without hatred, it makes it less about surrendering to them and more about protecting your own internal peace. You're just waiting for their storm to pass.
The rainstorm works beautifully for protecting your peace today. But let's push that analogy further into the actual mechanics of this specific philosophy.
Okay, let's do it.
In Shufeng's framework, you didn't just happen to get caught in a random rainstorm. Your actions in a past life actually seeded those clouds.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That is the uncomfortable, unyielding truth of his determinism. That coworker isn't a random glitch in the universe. They are a karmic inevitability that you authored long ago.
Man, that changes the context of the anger completely.
Precisely. Think about the psychological weight of the word inevitability. So much of human suffering is generated by the word should.
Yes. The traffic should be moving.
Right. My coworker should be logical. My life should be fair.
We suffer immensely because we constantly fight reality.
Exactly. Schweffing argues that this resistance, fighting the inevitable, that is the actual root of our suffering, not the event itself.
So if you view the irrational person not as an enemy, but as an inevitable piece of your script written by your own past karma, the friction just kind of dissolves. You just bear it.
You bear it.
But wait, accepting the rainstorm is fine for surviving today, but how do we stop it from raining tomorrow?
Now we're getting into the sequel.
Right. Because if we are just passively bearing the present, where is the momentum? A philosophy that only tells you to endure a fixed script would be incredibly stagnant.
It would be.
But the text pivots here. It moves from this radical acceptance of today to an intense focus on tomorrow.
This is where the framework transitions from profound surrender to really profound responsibility.
Yes.
Because while the present is locked in stone, the future is entirely unwritten. And to explain the mechanism of how tomorrow is built, Schweffing brings in the crucial second half of Bodhidharma's quote.
Right, the full thought. So the first half was, to know the causes of the past life, look at what you are enduring in this life. And the second half completes the circuit.
What does it say?
To know the outcomes of the future life, look at what you're doing in this life.
This is the engine of cause and effect in motion.
Yeah.
The text outlines a strict mechanism. Everything happening to you today was predestined by the past, but how you react today lays the concrete groundwork for your future existence.
It is such a wild paradox to wrap your head around. I mean, we have absolutely zero control over what happens to us today.
The physical events are locked.
Locked. But our emotional reaction to those locked events dictates the entirety of our future reality.
Exactly.
To upgrade our earlier analogy, it's kind of like writing software.
Oh, let's hear it.
The physical reality of your life today is the compiled code. It's already running. You can't change the program while it's executing,
Right.
but your internal emotional state right now, that is the source code for the next update.
That is the perfect way to understand the mechanism. You are running the compiled software of your past, but you are actively typing the source code for your future.
Yeah.
And the text is incredibly explicit about the kinds of code that will introduce catastrophic bugs into your next life.
Well, the list.
Right? Semesfeng provides a specific list of behaviors that will fundamentally prevent a person from reaching heaven or a higher realm.
I found that list fascinating, honestly, because of what it doesn't include.
Right.
He states that we cannot expect to reach heaven if, in this life, we remain jealous, resentful, comparative, angry, hateful, arrogant, selfish, possessive, or domineering.
Notice the common thread there.
It is entirely internal. There's no mention of specific physical actions or outward transgressions.
Exactly. He doesn't focus on the physical things you are forced to do or endure, because those are just the compiled code running its course.
Right. The focus is exclusively on internal emotional states. Jealousy, resentment, the act of comparing your life to someone else's.
This reveals exactly how the philosophy views the human mind.
The physical world is just the echo of the past.
But the mind is the active, humming workshop of the future. The emotional discipline you maintain today, the quiet refusal to harbor resentment when someone wrongs you, the choice to suppress jealousy when someone else succeeds. That internal discipline isn't just about being a good person.
It's mechanical.
Yes, it is the literal structural building block of your next reality.
Which injects massive urgency into that earlier instruction about the unreasonable person.
It really does.
If you face that aggressive driver or that irrational coworker with hatred and anger, you aren't just having a bad Tuesday. You are actively writing a tragic, painful scene for your future self to endure.
You are hard-coding suffering into your sequel.
Hard-coding suffering. Wow. So, having established this mechanism, the past writes the present writes the future. The text then zooms all the way out.
To the cosmic level.
Right. It takes this personal internal source code and applies it to a grand scale, showing us the ultimate destination of this process. Zhou introduces a specific community, Lifechanyuan, and the people within it, known as the Chanyuan Celestials.
He does. And this is where the philosophy scales up from individual psychology to vast cosmology.
But the way he describes his relationship to these Celestials completely subverted my expectations.
How so?
Well, generally, when a philosophical founder or a spiritual leader writes a text, the underlying pitch is, join my movement and I will teach you, I will mold you, cultivate you, and elevate you to a higher state.
Right, the traditional guru model.
Exactly. But Zhou explicitly states that the Chanyuan Celestials are not educated or cultivated by him. He says he merely searches for them.
Right, he describes them as being destined by heaven. Their status as celestials isn't something he bestows upon them. It is a state already determined by the rigorous karma of their past lives.
That is such an unusual position for a leader to take.
Mm-hmm.
He is openly declaring, I cannot actually cultivate you into this state.
Yeah.
You either possess the karmic source code to be a celestial or you don't. He acts more like a metal detector searching for gold, rather than an alchemist claiming he can turn lead into gold.
It demonstrates an absolute unwavering commitment to his own premise.
It really does.
If the universe truly operates on a strict math of cause and effect, then a teacher, no matter how profound, cannot wave a magic wand and override a student's karmic ledger.
The cause has occurred.
And the effect must play out. A person becomes a Chanyuan celestial not through, some sudden conversion. It's by systematically shedding those internal negative states like anger and jealousy over multiple lifetimes until their internal frequency is a mathematical match for that realm.
So by stating he only searches for them, Zhou perfectly closes the loop of his deterministic logic.
Precisely.
And if you have done that work, if you have spent lifetimes enduring suffering calmly, refusing to code resentment into your future, walking in what the text calls the way of the greatest creator, the destinations he lists are staggering.
Oh, they are quite vivid.
He outlines realms like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and ultimately the Elysium Celestial Islands continent.
And what is truly elegant about this cosmology is how the core mechanism never changes, no matter the scale.
Right.
It starts with the heavy inevitability of your mundane daily struggles, being broke, dealing with a rude stranger. And it applies that exact same unyielding law of inevitability to the highest possible cosmic outcome.
It's all just cause and effect.
Reaching the Elysium Celestial Islands continent isn't framed as a stroke of divine luck or a special favor granted to a VIP. As Shuefeng writes, if you follow the path, reaching these realms is also inevitable.
Inevitable. The exact same word used for the suffering is used for the ultimate reward.
Exactly.
If the math of your karma adds up, the gates of Elysium simply must open for you. The universe has no choice in the matter.
The law applies equally to the mud and to the stars.
The mud and the stars. I love that. Let's bring this vast cosmology all the way back down from the Elysium Celestial Islands continent, right back to the listener's daily reality.
Let's do it.
If you are listening to this right now, we've journeyed from Bodhidharma's ancient diagnosis of the past to the mechanical coding of the future. Think about the frustrations in your own life today.
The current rainstorms.
Yeah. What is a situation or an unreasonable person that you're currently wasting massive amounts of psychological energy fighting? What is a reality you are raging against that you might simply need to accept as part of your compiled code, put down your armor, and gracefully endure?
It requires a profound, often uncomfortable shift in perspective.
It really does.
And to leave you with one final thought to mull over, building on the framework we've unpacked today, we've established that our present suffering was authored by our past actions, and that we are currently, through our emotional discipline, authoring the script for our next lives.
Yes.
If that mathematical chain is truly unbroken, is the ultimate unspoken goal of this entire endless cycle of cause and effect to eventually become such a perfect, emotionally disciplined screenwriter that you author a life script with absolutely zero suffering left to endure.
A completely flawless script.
Exactly.
Wow. That is certainly something to chew on the next time you find yourself stuck in a sudden rainstorm. Thank you for taking a seat at the table with us for this deep dive. We hope it provided a new, challenging lens to view your day through. Keep asking questions, keep seeking out those multiple perspectives, and we will catch you next time.